Have you ever wanted to get just absolute revenge on the Warden? Well, now you can with an easy Warden farm that's actually super practical as well. Let me explain. Wardens drop a lot of experience, so even if you just kill a couple of these guys, that is enough experience to get you to 2.5 levels. That doesn't sound like very much, but when you're killing a Warden every 10 seconds, that really adds up, and it gets better. The Skulk Catalyst that they drop is a great building block, but it also drops a lot of experience on its own, so the Catalyst can be brought with you anywhere in the Minecraft world, and you can break that for experience to repair your tools, weapons, and armor. As you might know, the Skulk Shrieker is the only thing that can summon a Warden in Minecraft. Now, the great thing about this is you can activate the Skulk Shrieker from anywhere in your Minecraft world super easily. As you can see, just by standing on it, that'll activate it, or by throwing a Trident on it or shooting it with an arrow, that will also activate it. As you can see there, we got a secondary Warden. Now, the great thing is that the Trident doesn't actually despawn, so as soon as we kill him, that's going to activate it again and give us another Warden. But wait, it gets even better. The Warden can't actually despawn, so this farm does not behave like your normal mob farm. You can be as far away from this thing as you want, and as long as it is within loaded chunks, it will still work. So this also works vertically as well. Just to prove this point, let's go ahead and go up to Y130. Up here, I have a command block that is testing for Wardens, and as you can see, there's currently 4 Wardens in the farm. And now one of them just died, and that is going to be producing us items and experience no matter where we are. So if you happen to have any Skulk Shriekers, a deep dark biome, or an ancient city underneath your rough base area, you can actually have a remote experience farm and have that experience piped directly to you wherever you're at in your Minecraft base. I'm all the way up here at the very top of the world, and the farm is still working, even though it's down at Y-30. It's killing Wardens, giving us experience, and getting us items. Some practical uses for this might be if you're AFKing at a stone or a cobblestone farm, wearing down your pickaxe by mining some blocks, you could have that experience piped directly to you, repairing your tools as you AFK. Or you could have a central spot in your base where you AFK for a whole bunch of other farms, and then you could turn that into a remote experience farm as well. That way you get experience while you're AFKing for other stuff. On top of all that, this farm is just incredibly basic. We have a simple spawning platform at the top here, slime to push the Wardens down, and then a triple Trident killer, because that is just how fast these things spawn. You get a Warden every 10 seconds, and it looks really dumb when they fall down, and then it takes about 20 or so seconds for them to kill and a Trident killer. All the experience and items get delivered directly to you via water stream, and as you can see, you get yourself a whole bunch of Skulk Catalysts. It seems like you could even have multiple of these farms running at one time, so I got Wardens summoning over there, and then we also got Wardens summoning up here as well. Real quick, if you enjoy these style of Bedrock Edition tutorials, then consider dropping a like as it helps out the video significantly, and if you're new here, then maybe consider subscribing. I got over 260 Bedrock tutorials, and I'm releasing more all the time, so stay tuned. Thanks, and let's get back to it. The Skulk Shriekers are incredibly easy to work with as well. They can only spawn Wardens in an 11 wide by 11 deep area, plus about 5 or 6 blocks above them and below them. So all you need to do is basically slab above them, and then make sure there's no caves below them, and no Wardens will spawn. And then you're gonna hear basically a grumpy Warden sound telling you that no Wardens can spawn. When a Warden does spawn, they still spawn on the northwest corner of a block, or basically in between 4 blocks. And the Skulk Shrieker also has a pretty small detection range for other Wardens. Skulk Shriekers can only spawn 1 Warden at a time, but they have a very small detection range for the Wardens. So we can have a Warden 25 blocks above them, 27 blocks below them, because they're a couple blocks tall, and then 25 blocks to the side, and it is still fine summoning another Warden. In case you ever wondered what the Warden spawning animation looks like, that's it. It's hilarious, and it's dumb, and I love every second of it. You can also push and pull the Warden as he's spawning as well, which is just extra silly. That also means that you can launch the Warden as it's spawning, so we can quite literally have the Warden in a kill chamber before it's even spawned in. There's nothing stopping the Skulk Shrieker from just spawning like basically infinite Wardens, so keep in mind that you can get a whole lot of these guys. This could actually be useful for a lot of different things, pranks or events, or just, you know, really making someone's day very, very difficult. out. If the person who throws the trident logs out of the game, that trident is no longer going to summon wardens. So every time you log out, you'll have to rethrow that trident if you want the warden farm to churn on. A real quick thank you to Zipper for helping tweak this design. They showed me the mechanic with getting the wardens away from the shrieker, allowing you to get more faster, so that's a pretty big improvement. Using all that information, there's a few different ways to build a warden farm. The first one is to just have the entire farm within the range of the Skulk sensor. This is the smallest and easiest one to build, and this will kill a warden about every 30 seconds. The other way of doing it is to send the wardens up using some bubble columns. This is most likely what you'll need to do because most Skulk shriekers are near the bottom of the world, so we just send them up using a whole bunch of bubble columns, and then we have ourselves a triple trident killer here at the top. Or you can do the simplest method, which is just to drop the wardens down about 25 blocks into a triple trident killer. All three of these farm concepts work incredibly well. However, you'll need to either drop the wardens down or send them up to get the best rates. You'll get about 3 times the rates if you do that. So I'm going to show you how to build this one, but the concepts are basically the same across all three. You can easily find the Deep Dark in Ancient Cities by going to chunkbase.com and putting your world seed and selecting the Bedrock Edition version. And then all you gotta do is highlight the biome Deep Dark, select the very bottom of the world, and as you can see, this is going to show you where all of the Deep Dark biomes are and where all of the ancient cities are. So there's quite literally millions of places to build an easy warden farm. There's a materials list down in the description of the video so that you know everything you need to build with. The first thing we're going to start off with is a Skulk Shrieker from World Generation. You cannot place this, it will not spawn wardens. You need to put in an 11 by 11 slab of slabs around that. Make sure there's no caves underneath it, otherwise you could have wardens spawning there. And we're going to find north. This is north right here, and we're simply going to place in a temporary solid block above that. Go ahead and get yourself a slab platform that is 7 blocks wide. So it's going to be 3 blocks to the left and 3 blocks to the right, just like so. Go over to this side right here, place in some temporary blocks. You want a solid block there, and then a few more in these locations. And you can pop out that one if you feel like it. Basically, you just need this awkward shape right here. We're going to need ourselves a piece of redstone dust in these 4 locations, a repeater on 3 ticks, and then an observer facing that repeater, a sticky piston right there, and then slime on the front of all of this lined up with your slab platform like so. Go ahead and grab yourself some lower slabs. We need to cover up this entire area to prevent wardens from spawning on top of all of that, and then a temporary solid block, and then just a line of slabs above all of that slime to prevent warden spawning. We need another solid block right here with a tripwire, string on top of each one of these slabs in the front, and another tripwire right there. So if you stand on this tripwire, that's going to boop you right off of this thing. Then place yourself a slab right on top of this block right here. We need a temporary block right there, and then a line of lower slabs in all of these locations. Go ahead and stack up yourselves 3 signs on top of all of those. This is going to hold in our water from the bubble columns and prevent it from flowing everywhere. And then go ahead and get in yourself a line of soul sand. So you're going to need to rip out all these slabs and place in your 8 soul sand. Because the wardens can spawn right on the edge right here, we actually need our soul sand to be 8 blocks long. So add an extra one right there, extra slab, and then your 3 extra signs going upwards. And now we need to start boxing in the sides of this soul sand with any block of your choice. It could be glass so that you can actually see the wardens in there, or you can use solid blocks. Chances are you're going to be mining up through some of the world, so you could just use like the natural stone or deep slate. Either way, this all needs to go up by 27 blocks. So that is block number 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 27. Of course, you also need blocks above all of your signs as well, and that's going to be going all the way up until you reach the top. Now, once you get to the top 4 layers here, these should be out of some sort of solid blocks, and our trident killers are going to be right in front of this. We'll get to that in a second. We need to fill up this entire thing with water first. So you can either fill up every single block of this entire thing with ice blocks, which would be a lot of ice, but not too bad. Or what you can do is you can grab yourself a water bucket, and every other block, place in a water source at the top. Then go down to the bottom, place in a line of solid blocks above all of your soul sand, and then place in a tower of kelp going all the way up every other block. So the kelp needs to reach all the way at the top, and that's going to turn all that flowing water into water sources. So you need a tower of kelp every other block going all the way up, and that would turn this entire thing into water. So it looks something like that, and then you go back down to the bottom over here, you rip out all of these solid blocks and replace them with a piece of water, and that is going to fill in all of the bubble columns for your entire build. You can hop in this thing and check it out, make sure all the bubbles are formed properly, and all of your items should be up here at the top. Go to the top of the build and locate the middle 2 blocks of the center, and then we're just going to place in ourselves another 2 solid blocks right there, a 2x2 of packed ice, and then a 2x2 of solid blocks, and then you want 2 rows of blocks to the left of that and to the right of that as well, and then get in yourself a 2x2 of packed ice right here, and then make sure there is 2 layers of solid blocks completely surrounding this thing on all sides, and do the same thing on the left side. 2x2 of packed ice, surround this thing on all sides with 2 layers of solid blocks like so, and that is going to be the floor layer of our triple trident killer. We're now going to break out these 2 blocks for a water stream, these 2 blocks, and these 2 blocks as well. Starting in the middle, we're going to build 3 trident killers that are actually touching each other, so we need ourselves a piston right here, right here, right here, and here. Fill in all of these areas with some solid blocks like so. You need a dropper in each one of the corners of this build, and then an observer facing each one of those droppers like so. We're then going to place in a solid block above each one of the pistons, and then we want a tripwire hook right there, a solid block right here, and another tripwire hook, a redstone torch on the side of that, and then a solid block here and a piece of redstone dust as your off switch. Grab 2 pieces of string and place that in the middle of the tripwire hooks like so, and now grab yourself a button, place it right here in this opening, and you want yourself a water bucket right here in this opening right here. We're now going to go ahead and fill in all of these solid blocks right here to help contain those wardens, and then you need to build this exact trident killer on the right side. So go ahead and build everything that we just built right here. So that's going to be a piston here, here, and here, and then the exact same build process. That's the middle and the right trident killer installed. If you stand in this piece of string, we should see this trident killer activate, and the same thing for this one over here. The trident killer on the left is mirrored. That way we're pushing the wardens towards this side with the water. So basically your pistons are going to be going here, 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 and here. Fill in all of these areas with your solid blocks, droppers in the corners, and then observers facing each one of your droppers like so. And then you want some solid blocks above your pistons in all of these areas. And now surround this thing with an extra layer of solid blocks on all sides to help keep those wardens contained inside of the build. Place in your button next to your piston right here, and then your water bucket in the back. We need our tripwire right there, and then our other tripwire on this side. 2 pieces of string between it, of course, your redstone torch right here, and your piece of redstone dust. And then if you stand inside this tripwire, that should activate your pistons. Now we're just going to fill in another layer of solid blocks on top of all of our redstone and these areas, and the middles right here, and these areas, and basically all across the entirety of the build until it looks a little bit something like that. And now we need to put the cap on top of the build, so raise up this back wall by 2 blocks, and then we need to extend the wall going basically all the way around in these areas and make it 2 blocks tall. And it should look like this when you're done. So now we're going to place in a little mini wall right here and right here as well. And now we need to place in a bunch of buttons. So all of these solid blocks right here are going to have buttons on top of them. You need a button above that tripwire hook, a button above that tripwire hook, and then we're going to place a sign on the side of that button just to have a thing above that tripwire hook so it doesn't get flooded out. And now grab yourself 4 signs. We need a sign right there above that opening, 2 signs above this middle opening, and another sign right there. We are now going to go ahead and grab ourselves our impaling 5 tridents and throw those inside of each one of these trident killers, so 1 trident per killer. The final steps is to place in yourself a line of buttons right above your bubble columns like so. Find out the middle 2 blocks that's going to be lined up with the middle of your trident killer. Place in 1 water source on the left, 1 water source on the right, and that's going to distribute your wardens across your 3 different kill chambers. That way none of these kill chambers get overloaded with wardens. And now we need a final roof at this layer right here, and this is going to be covering up this entire area where we have water or signs just to keep all of those wardens completely actually contained. If you want to, you could probably also fill in like these extra blocks right here, just so the wardens can't see out. To finish up the water streams, all you need to do is place in a couple of packed ice right there in that opening, and then in the middle opening, and on the right opening as well. Go down by a block and have a line of packed ice connecting them all. Get some glass blocks or just some solid blocks in these gaps right here, and then completely surround that packed ice water stream on all sides with some glass blocks and make that 2 blocks tall as well. We're going to place in a water bucket right there, water bucket right there, and water bucket in the middle, and then you just need yourself a button right here in the middle to keep that flow from going any further. And then we want another button on this side right here, and that's going to make all the water flow to the right here, and this is going to be the output of your water stream. So this can go wherever you want it to your base, to wherever you want your items to be collected, and wherever you want your experience to be delivered. I would recommend AFKing about 20 or 30 blocks back from here because the wardens have a range attack and it really hurts. And now all you need to do is grab yourself any trident ever. It can have 0 durability, it can be completely unenchanted. Just throw that on top of your Skulk Shrieker. You should get a reliable flow of wardens spawning in and then immediately being yeeted into these water streams. They should be getting pushed up, and as you can see, they are getting pushed into the Trident Killer. Our first one already died, as you can tell from the Skull Catalyst down there. So all of the experience and items are going to be delivered out this side. Now, the experience and items will be stuck inside of the Trident Killer until it actually churns off. So once the Trident Killer churns off, then all of that stuff is going to come flowing out. If you want to build the very simple design, the concepts are incredibly similar. As you can see, we got the slime pusher at the top here. Any wardens that spawn up here are going to be pushed into the water streams. And then we have a couple extra pistons at the top here of blocks on their faces, just to keep the wardens from bouncing up and down. That'll kill them quicker. And design number 2 is basically exactly the same as design number 1, but it's flipped. So we got the slime pusher on the top here, and then they simply fall down. We have glass rings every 3rd block, so there's a 2-block gap between these, and that is just guiding the wardens down into our same identical triple Trident Killer. We have a little bit of water right here to push the wardens to the left and to push the wardens to the right, and then the middle one is just open, and that really is all there is to it. If you liked today's video, drop a like as it helps out the channel a ton, and thank you so much for doing so. If you're new here, then consider subscribing, that way you don't miss amazing tutorials like this in the future, and otherwise I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one, and then there was silence.